Okay, I think, yep, we should be live now. So I'm just going to, like I say, sorry, go ahead.
I got the notification.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, I'm just sharing it right now on my Facebook page. And yeah, that's another thing we got to talk about is people and their hatred for social media. Like, I get that they're frustrating and stuff. I get frustrated all the time. I just showed it earlier today. I had a video of mine that was demonetized for, I can't figure the reason, but like I say, this is where the battle is taking place. So I don't know why people are, I mean, you can hate on Facebook and all that stuff, but can you maybe save it till after the election? To me, it's just so mindlessly insane. Okay, I'm just checking here. Okay, can you maybe? There we go. All right, we're good now there, Mark.
All right, very good.
Yeah, I'm closing my Facebook, close my Twitter. So let me just, just mention here real quick what we're going to be doing here today. All right. So hey everyone. So obviously you're aware that me and Mark are going to be having a conversation today, and like I say, I'm really appreciative to have Mark on today because he's a representative of the PPC. And like I say, for all, hopefully enough people will come along and listen to this video that are either members or supporters, like founding members, supporters, candidates, anyone that's looking to at least challenge the establishment of the status quo. That doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter if you're a libertarian or a classical liberal or a conservative, an independent, heck, even some of you anti-corporatist, left-leaning type of people. It's profoundly important that we put aside our petty differences for the most part, because that's the thing when you're talking about people that are predominantly come from the perspective of people like myself and Mark, or what the PPC represents, is we're not looking to be authoritarians and just mandate and impose our edicts on you. We're looking to create some semblance to put this country on the proper track going forward, where we don't have authoritarian collectivism, where we start to perceive and treat each other as individuals. But the problem is people that watch, and especially, I guess, people that listen to people like myself that are libertarians, because we are individuals does not mean we're isolated alone. This is something I think that has to be hammered home. It just means that I respect you as an individual. I don't want to identify you based on your group, like your skin color, your race. I just want to deal with you as an individual. And that way I can hold you to accountable for your actions or your words or your deeds. And that's really what it comes down to. And I don't care, like I said, it doesn't matter what your political leanings are. I think most of us should be adopted and on board with treating each other as individuals. But as individuals, well, we have a giant collective that have lined up, and they're authoritarian collectivists that have lined up in opposition to those of us that are staunch independent individuals. They're lined up against us. And we have, some pretty important voices. We're very vocal and we're very supportive of standing for individual rights, freedoms, liberty. But we can only do so much. We might have some ideas. We probably have the best ideas in comparison to, in conjunction or in contrast to our political opponents. But without you out there as the person that's consuming these videos, if you're not out sharing or just even other people's content, if we're not at least showing solidarity with each other, stop infighting. I mean, it's okay to do that stuff offline or in your own time. But if we're not showing solidarity with us, well, like I say, the authoritarian collectivists, they know the divide and conquer routine, and they're showing that they're willing to come at us with not just blunt force, but as a big show of force by their willingness to put aside their own differences, apparently, and show solidarity with each other. So if we're not showing the same capacity and willingness to do the same thing, well, you can't expect a small minority of people, such as me and Mark or Kelly Day or many others out there that are doing our best to try to propagate these messages to people and offer people an alternative, not just in the philosophical or intellectual sphere, but even in the political landscape. We're giving you the option. But once again, we can only offer, and that plate is on offering. It's there, but the other side of that, the reciprocal aspect, is the taking. You have to take that, and then, like I say, you don't just take it for yourself. It's important, but you have to make sure you're propagating that for everyone else, because you have to share with other people and spread the kind of things that we say so that we can show that we are a force to be reckoned with. and not that we're just all isolated. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Mark. Yeah, go ahead, man.
No, it's all good, Bennett.
No, go right ahead.
I agree completely. And the fact of the matter is, the left and the collectivists are professional protesters. They're professional activists. It's what they do, right? It's solidarity. It's the one voice of mass, and they have many years of experience in protesting and activism and pushing their agenda collectively. Whereas us on the right, we're generally busy working. We're generally busy taking care of our own business and promoting our individual self and helping people, but through as an individual rather than as a. So it is hard. And we talk about this even within the Yellow Vest movement. It's hard to motivate people on the right because, number one, they're busy. Number two, they're not used to or even understand how to come together as a collective, as a solid voice, or as a voice in solidarity. Especially in the political realm, especially with a new party that has something different to offer, we have to get out the message. And the only way we're going to get out the message to the masses is by coming together and expecting in have their own, and let's fight within our group, within the people on the right, or even classic liberals, or like you say, conservatives, or even people on the left that like the idea of no corporate welfare and crony capitalism and that sort of thing. So we have to find, all of us, the common ground. And I think in policy and platform, we can under the PPC's platform. But that doesn't mean, and this is one of the things that I like about the PPC and what Max stands for, and is that he is allowing for different ideas and different thoughts and different ways of getting to where we all want to get to. I mean, for example, I always use examples in this discussion because anti-abortion and takes it to a level that I wouldn't take it to. I'm in that issue, I'm more middle of the road. So I can actually, if I have an issue with Laura, I'll take it up with Laura, but I'll do it in a way that's not going to be out there for everybody to see. It's going to be something that's, if it's important to the party, if it's important to our direction, then I'm going to take it up with her, for example. And that's just an example. So because I'm pretty much, from my perspective, a candidate has their own ideas, and that's fantastic. Promote those ideas as long as they're in line with what we're trying to do. And I think we all need to understand that it's this freedom that we're trying to achieve, freedom that we have in the party. It's going to collision between people. That's the nature of having freedom, right? Is the freedom of debating those ideas. Let's have those debates. But if it's something that's potentially can look bad on the movement or on the party, let's take those debates in house if we have to. If it's going to separate or divide people, and then like that, let's have that discussion. That's not just open debates about these issues, because I think it's healthy. So there's a fine line, I think, between dividing and having open debate, because I mean, especially in politics, and I experienced this in the Yellow Vest as well, and that's why we stayed apolitical, and that's why I didn't promote the PPC or we know that as soon as you start talking about everybody has one, right? If everyone has a solution, we got to figure out how to solutions into something that's going in this will, which is nice. But the nice part is with the PPC, of course, we have a platform, and we all came together and all fall back to that platform. And we have the word out. We have to come together as a leftist mob, like agenda, but they'll have to come together and unify under a banner, under the platform, and say, this is what we're standing for. And here are some of my issues that I've brought along in line with that.
Yeah, well, you know, my biggest thing is actually even just in listening to what you're saying there, and I agree with a lot of the things that you said. Obviously, I think what might end up being somewhat detrimental and counterproductive, I think, as far as, and once again, this is just my opinion, folks. Take it with a grain of salt, but I'm fairly, you know, well versed in this stuff, and I understand how things play out. I've been paying attention to this stuff for quite a while now, and I think the one major issue that I personally, that I've noticed, which is I think might be having a profound effect and causing some people to be hesitant. Now we know the media is going to attack us. That's anyone that's supporting, like I say, any party that's challenging the status quo. And just talk to Tim Moen, leader of the Libertarian Party of Canada, if you ever want to know. You just, yeah. Well, first of all, especially if you have no influence at all in the political sphere or the political discourse, they'll just pretend you don't exist. That's what they do at the Libertarian Party of Canada. PPC, though, is they're going to go into attack mode. And you've already seen this taking place, Mark. You know this firsthand because you've seen they've already gone into attack you for basically just, you know, bullshit, right? But this is what they're going to do. The problem, what I understood for me, though, is because I know there's a huge silent majority that are fence sitters. Those are predominantly the ones that we really should be looking to appeal to, because the ideologues are the people that fall on that left-right perspective or spectrum or side of the political fence, I should say. Now, those people, I mean, good luck trying to get them to flip-flop back and forth. It can happen, obviously, depending on how bad the other guy is. But once again, those are people just are voting against the other guy if they change their political leanings. But it's that huge, and I'm telling you, this is a representation that could be upwards of 10 million Canadians that are literally fence sitters, and people like myself won't fucking vote. The problem is when I hear, and even from Maxine himself, and you kind of iterate a little bit even now, is I think the big problem is the way this whole, and that was why I like the idea of the People's Party of Canada, is to get away from this. The problem is constantly making it about, and I get, because we have to definitely show that for the economic conservatives, that there's genuine conservatives out there that actually understand economics, right, and have proper fiscal policy. But my problem is even painting the PPC as predominantly right-leaning. Well, first problem is, first of all, you're already given, or even as conservative, not saying that's bad. And you know, you or I mean, neither of us would have a disagreement with this. I'm just trying to put this out there for everyone else that's listening.
No, I agree.
Is if you make this as a conservative movement, you've basically shot yourself in the foot, because you have no idea how closely aligned a person that would identify, like I say, before I even understood what a libertarian represents, I would have identified prior to that as a classical liberal. That's how I would have identified. I would have never in my...
Yeah. No, yeah.
No, go ahead, Mark. Go dig in, buddy.
Yeah, I got to get in when I can.
Yeah, get in there, man.
But no, I agree completely. And I've tried to say this, and I even catch myself a lot of times, and I probably even did it in this last little rant that I had. But you're right. This isn't just a conservative movement. This is a populist movement. And I've always said from the beginning, when I started the party till now, is I really truly believe, and I think it will be beneficial to the party, but I still believe in the idea that we really have to change the narrative from a left-right paradigm and this hole that we've been stuck in, you know, and keep going into camps on the left and on the right and staying there, and that's it. It's bigger than that. This movement, it should be representative, and it is a movement. It's not just a political party. It's a political party that came around the time the movement started to grow, and I think Max recognizes that. And it is a populist movement. It's not just a populist party, but I do think that that's the direction that we need to take, especially in messaging and narrative, because we do, before we can even, you know, achieve what we want to achieve. It doesn't matter if you're a socialist or you're a capitalist or whatever, where you fall, until maintain our side, for ourselves what we want our country to look like going forward. So we have to get in the position and to the point where the mainstream Canadians understand that this fight that we're in is a fight, and it's a fight against global socialism, global collectivism, and equal countries, which means destruction of Western civilization as we know it. And until people recognize that, we're not going to have a chance, because we won't have the masses to actually affect the change. So we have to get the messaging out that it's less about left and right and more about nationalism or populism versus global. If we can get to that narrative and push that narrative, then that's what's going to be healthy for our country, but it's also going to be the healthiest thing for the PPC moving forward, because that's ultimately based on our platform and based on our positions. That is what we are, and that is what we represent, and that is what we're taking forward. So we have to take our, as we do that, once we maintain that sovereignty, we hold that sovereignty, then we have these debates of Canada to look at, whether you're from the left or you're on the right. It truly is. The country quicker than we have, because affected by it directly more than we have, and they've come to the realization as a nation put away politics, and ultimately I guess they're not petty politics, but they're just smaller than the bigger picture, which is this global agenda. And so people are recognizing that in other countries. We're seeing it, and that's why we're seeing the Brexit Party, getting all the support that it's getting in such a short amount of time. In Hungary, parts of, because they felt seeing the impact on the populist ideal, and we need to do. And I think it will get there, Bennett. In Canada, it's going to take a while, because Canadians are generally so apathetic and sort of ignore what's happening politically until the day before the election. So we have to try to get the message out. Now, how do we do that? That's the question, I think. And we can't use mainstream media. Number one, they don't know us, right? They and if they do, they're going to spin it and twist it in a way that's not going to be reflective of what we actually believe in, as you've seen, as I've experienced firsthand from a number of different outlets. And so we have to take this message through Kelly, through Joe, and all these, and take that way. And I think it's moving in that direction. People are having less and less, trust in media, and they're seeing the bias and just the incredibly bias. And so through that messaging narrative these ways, and then we start change the narrative to globalism versus nationalism and populism, then we have a chance, not only as a party, but in a bigger sense as a movement.
Yeah, well, I would actually say even the best narrative, but I'm totally aligned with even going with the middle ground, with even if you want to say the nationalist thing. Although once again, I still think that the individualism, but once again, I also recognize that I'm not talking about dealing with people like myself. If I was only talking to people like myself, then I could still stick with the individualism and I'd be good, right? Because I understand what. But yes, so the nationalism, here's how I like to paint that picture. So just think about it as if, because Canada is a country, it's a nation. We all recognize that. So once again, break that down into the family structure and consider yourself a family. What if and you're making actually a pretty good damn argument as far as going at it from the nationalist versus globalist, because once again, even in a family type structure, which, like I say, the country of Canada could be expanded to be just a much larger representation of a collective or a family, let's say. Like I say, I'll even play the game for the people that do want to play that area or that kind of politics. I'm totally on board with it. And what I would say is, like I say, when you're doing the left-right thing, that's like saying, as if in a family structure, that's like saying, okay, it's men versus women. Tell me in what kind of family that is ever going to work out when you pit men versus women, because chances are there's probably men and women in your family. So when you play the left-right, like I say, the fence sitters, that 35 to 40% of Canadians that just are like, don't play that game. They're like, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to pick mom or dad, right? That's the point of having principles that aren't based on identity or anything like that. And that's the thing with collectivism where it destroys that. That's why, like, to me, the importance of the individual is so important, because, like I say, in my family structure, it'd be, I'll just deal with each individual members of the family and what they're doing, and that's easy to hold each other to account. But the minute you place it like left or right, or even globalists and nationalists. I get the nationalists. Well, perfect example would be, yes, if I'm going to be dealing with people in particular conflicts as far as politics, I want to do it with my family first. And my family is the one that I'm going to have more respect and understanding for, because we've grown up together. We have a better history. We have an understanding. There's lots of things, areas where we might find some common agreements, where a complete stranger, maybe or maybe not. So I totally get the nationalist argument, and I'm totally on board, at least for those that do want to identify as nationalists in any way. Once again, though, it means that we have to put aside this, and you already more or less agree to this, is we got to stop this left-right, because the people in Canada that would even align with you, like I'll admit, like I align with people such as yourself, Kelly Day, and a lot of people that would say that they are conservatives. But I also align with a lot of people that would say that they're liberals. Now, most of them will make that disclaimer and understanding that they say, I'm a classical. Well, when they say they're classical liberal, what they're saying is, I'm a real liberal. Because the people that out there that are saying they're liberals today aren't even genuine liberals, because the liberals, if you understand what the term liberal means, they actually understood the importance of adhering to individual rights, freedoms. Now, there was an argument between, the liberals and the conservatives in the past, and a lot of it would have been broken down in it. I made a video about it before, where the conservatives were more prudent and fiscally responsible and good with the pocketbook. The liberals were more about giving you a little bit more social freedoms, because, the conservatives would have been historically a little bit more restrictive on your social freedom. So the liberals were the ones that were going to counter that a little bit and say, here, you can have your social freedoms. Now, what I see today is, like, the liberals went into not just some good freedoms. They're like, no, just go into sexual deviancy. Just do everything that's immoral, and that's okay, right? That's the failure of the left. But even as far as the conservatives, where's the fiscal responsibility? Like, no one from either side. That's why I don't like playing the left-right thing, because neither people that represent or actors within the establishment. Yeah, none of them represent what they even supposedly stand for. So if you're a conservative, you would automatically think, oh, well, they're going to be good with the pocketbook and they're going to do things fiscally responsible. But you see, that's not the case. Same with the liberals. Look at, and I love this is perfect with the sugar tax video I just uploaded the other day. The liberals are supposed to be, we're going to give you all your social freedoms. Fuck whoever you want, right? I don't care. But meanwhile, it's like, but if you drink something that's sugary, I'm going to finger wag. I mean, like I said in my video, today it's like the LibCon is the perfect definition and describing aspect of the establishment today, because what they're authoritarians, and they just have the different way they want to do it, right? Whether they want to do it in the social realm or the economic realm, but both of them are playing both sides of that fence and using authoritarianism as a means to show solidarity with each other. So they look at each other, even though they look a little bit adversarial. As far as the LibCons today, they're only adversarial as much as, like, the Leafs and I don't know what another Canadian team are, as far as trying to win the next game. At the same time, they're still going to show solidarity with each other, because they're still functioning in the same league. And the LibCons today have all shown that they might try to do things differently, but trust me, they'll come together to make sure that anyone that stands for rights, freedoms, and liberty today, individual rights, freedoms, and liberty, are going to be placed at the back of the proverbial bus. So, like, and I won't even repeat myself now. So you go ahead and respond to that, Mark, because, like I say, this is something I just find that's so important, that people got to get away from the left-right thing and just realize that, hey, if you just want to care and respect each other for your individual sovereignty, let's just do that, and fuck the left-right bullshit, because that's, at the end of the day, that's all I care about. I don't care what you want to do in your personal life. And just like, a classical liberal, like, if you believe in that stuff, or a conservative, you do your thing. I won't agree with it. Like, if I was a conservative, like a Christian conservative, I'd be like, I don't agree with some of the stuff that these lefties do, as far as, like, what the gay pride. You do your thing. You do. Having that live mentality is how we can actually coexist with each other and not feel like we're adversarial. At least we're like, I'll respect you for doing what you do, and you respect me. That's how we're going to make this tent big enough that we might have actually a decent chance or shot at success, or at least put enough people in a position somewhere under the PPC that can challenge the status quo. I think it's a long-term project, but I think we can at least do something if we could get out of this left-right paradigm that
Yeah.
The left they're using it so hardcore against us right now.
But you see, I'll take it a step further, Bennett. I mean, we have the establishment, and that's why in all my communication, all my messaging, I'm always talking about the establishment, because in the big picture, and I'm a big picture kind of guy, in the big picture, you don't see any real difference between the two. And the reason why we don't, and if people understood this, they would really understand why the PPC was created and why there's people following the PPC and becoming candidates like I am. And that reason is the UN and its sustainable development agenda, because both establishment parties, not only in Canada, but in the States, the Republicans and the Democrats, in Britain, the Conservatives and the Labour, they all stand for the same globalism and the same agenda that they've signed onto. It doesn't matter whether the Conservatives are in power, if the Liberals are in power in Canada and Britain and the States and in other countries, because they're all establishment that have bought into the globalist idea of sustainable development agenda. That is the head of the snake. I've said it 1,000 times. I'm going to say it 1,000,000 times more. And as soon as people understand, and especially conservatives supporting the Conservative Party as it is today, which by all intents and purposes is where the Liberals used to be. The Liberals are where the NDP used to be, and the NDP are almost off the table. And because the goalposts have been moved, and they've been moved by this agenda that's been in place, been in development since 1972, if not earlier. And if people understood, even on the ground, individuals in smaller cities, even like Saskatoon and other cities like that, people look around, like bike lanes, for example, or urban forest, or inner city development and infrastructure. All of these things, a lot of cities are already tied into ICLEI and the whole Agenda 21 and how they're going to, redesign city streets, and they're going to force bike lanes over auto transportation, even though we live in winter for 6 to 8 months of the year. So all of these individual things that raise the ire of people, the carbon tax, that's another one. People look around and say and wonder what the hell's going on. Well, what's going on is you have a federal government historically from back to 72 signed on to this agenda. And we're seeing the agenda playing out in real time in all of our cities, in all of our towns, in provinces, and throughout the country. It's all under the same plan. And so when people are looking around wondering what the hell's going on with all of these things, well, that's it. And there is a head of the snake to that. So it is a LibCon establishment. It is a Republican Democrat establishment. It is a Labor Conservative establishment that have all. The second that people finally connect those dots, because it's not a theory anymore. It's not somebody taking a leap on what it could be. We're seeing it happen in real time. It's a conspiracy fact, not a theory. And I think we're getting that. And even people within the party are starting to understand how important this issue is and how many things it affects and how it affects our sovereignty, obviously, because these are policies developed by a foreign entity that doesn't have the best interest of Canada at heart. And so when people finally connect those dots through people like yourself and myself and Kelly and all these other folks, and actually think critically and think factually, with the facts that are even there promoted by the UN, understand it, they'll understand how to fix it. And it's very easy fix. If you focus on the head of the snake, all of these other fall into place. And if we don't, and we continue in this whack-a-mole on a merry-go-round of electing establishment parties, we're done.
Yeah, I agree, Mark. Well said, man. And you know what? That's one thing that every time I've challenged, and I've done it a couple times. Well, one time that it was publicly, just because, like I say, I was testing waters, but even subsequent to that, I've been paying meticulous attention, because that's how I want to know, what the PPC, what Maxime, what represents. I know his history, and I have a lot of trust in his stance and his positions, because he does have that history. But every time I've seen where a situation rises, he does seem that he's willing to rise to the challenge and he's being smart about it. That video I uploaded, as far as the intellectual aspect of this, is not appealing to people's emotions, but to their mind. That's really wise too. And I'm very thankful to see that even the PPC, I just got it up there now, when they actually put this on the platform. You're probably familiar with this now. Actually, I might have even shared it from your page. I'm not sure, but about fake news. It's the People's Party. They actually put something out, and that's something that I think is profoundly important, that people can see that Maxime knows what's going on. He understands what the media is trying to do and trying to attempt, and to put this stuff out there, people, so that they understand that there is a coordinated and concerted effort, and it's not conspiratorial as far as like a bunch of masterminds. It's just people that have a particular preference as far as their ideological or stance or the position and things. It doesn't mean they're all sitting around in a round table, but if they know it's going to be in their benefit, right, they're going to align with the authoritarian collectivists if they recognize that they're going to have a personal advantage of that. Whereas those of us that don't have that particular stake or claim, because we've never been in any form of governance or part of the establishment, like you're saying, is what we're doing is actually appealing to people's intellect, as far as we're not seeking power. And you can tell even the way Maxime talks about things, he's not seeking power. He's just seeking to be like, listen, I just want to be someone that gives you some good philosophical understanding and opinions or principles of what it is for, if we're going to have governance of a country. And then I'll just be kind of like a referee. All I want to do is, there's some rules, and if anyone's stepping outside the bounds of these rules, then that's where we should have any cause as far as impeding on anyone. But what it comes down to, at the end of the day, the PP stands for, is, as far as the platform anyways, is you can do your thing. You can be, like I say, you can be someone that's identifies as a classical liberal, an independent, a conservative, or whatever, non-political, whatever you choose. But you have to at least accept and acknowledge and adopt those finite principles, just like you would have to do in your own household, where you don't use preemptive violence towards, just treat each other with dignity and respect. And that's the whole point of the PPC platform, with fairness, respect, and individual freedom. Is that's all it really comes down to the day, at the end of the day. And the media would have nothing to throw at us if we stick to that particular messaging, because all we really care about, like I say, is I just want to treat you as an individual. And if you respect me, like I can't imagine, even if I was going knocking door to door tomorrow and saying to everyone that ever opened the door, all I want to do is have a finite amount of rules where we treat each other morally, with respect and dignity, as far as our social and economic interactions. And that's all. That's the basic premise and the pretense of our party. And you can do your thing. All we ask of you to become part of this big group, right, is all we require of you is not to conform to anything, except the only thing you need to conform to is just respecting other people's individuality and their sovereignty, as long as they're not using force. And and those are very simple concepts that, like I say, I can't imagine very many people, when they've opened the door, that say, oh yeah, I disagree with that. I've never had a conversation yet, and I've talked to a lot of people. I've never had anyone yet say, oh no, I prefer to use just pure violence, right, and force is the means to my end. Some of them may very well think that, but who the hell is actually going to vocalize or verbalize that? Not very. So like I say, that messaging matters, and the PPC is getting really good at starting to adopt the proper kind of messaging. And you know what? It's so funny, Mark. I'll say this and then I'll let you just respond real quick. Even some of these hacks in the media, although I have to admit it's an opinion piece, I was hoping it was an editorial piece. It would have been great. But from the Toronto Star, I don't know if you've seen this yet, Mark. Listen to the headline list. Don't fall into your chair, buddy. Scheer's big policy reveals are a lot like Trudeau's. Ooh, from the Toronto Star? What? Are you serious? Am I reading this? Well done there. The contributor is Thomas Walken, but I mean, national affairs columnist. But I mean, even someone in the establishment media, such as the Star, has recognized that, libcons. And you don't even need to listen to me and Mark say that. Someone in the Star is going to tell you that.
Scott,
go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And I actually saw that story earlier today. At the end of the day, again, I'm just going to, like, if I'm talking to somebody who is pro-socialist, let's say, where Canada go in a more direction. Okay, that's one thing. And I'm going to debate the person. I'm going to promote free market, and I'm going to promote, individualism and voluntarism, and we're going to have that debate, which is fine to have. but put it in context from a global perspective. Now, does that same socialist idea, that person want a global socialism? They want policy for Canada to turn a foreign entity, enormous bureaucracy, foreign, or do they want that policy developed and created in the borders of Canada within our country and our them? Oh, and I mean, we've been fighting forever, left and right in Canada, and we'll probably continue to go as long as we maintain our sovereignty, and that's okay. And but I at the end of the day, if we're talking about from a perspective of national globalism, that person and most others like them are not going to want this socialist option or develop or a UN, because it's not for Canadians. And whether you're a socialist or you're a capitalist or whatever you call it, if you are a Canadian first, and most people want to stay a Canadian, and most people understand we have something pretty good here, and so even if you're left, it's still important for us to have that discussion and have that election and all in Canada to do what we're doing here, because we've done, even though we fight all the time, we still have best kinds on the planet. I'd like to keep it, to keep our for free, justice, compassion, Canadians. Let's keep it that way, and I think on board that message, and ultimately that message that I want, and that's I think the PPC wants to get out and to start more fully. It is boiling down to that idea, and if you can, and so part of or that we've had, and we every video that I make, I can't go into all of the rabbit holes that are created by the UN and its agenda. I can't go down all of those with people, especially if I'm door knocking or if I'm at an event and I'm speaking. I can't talk about all of the issues that are affecting all of the Canada. In our society in Canada, do we want to maintain what we have here? Whether it's we end up, in a socialist government or a more conservative or capitalist government, whatever that looks like, at the end of the day, people will respond and they'll understand. If you can relate certain things like the carbon tax, because that affects everybody, it pisses almost everybody off, unless they've completely drank all the Kool-Aid on CO2. But we have to keep messaging that. We have to keep informing and educating, and on a sort of big picture scale, because if we get into all these rabbit holes, it flies over their head, and it's too much to digest, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the biggest and most disturbing aspect of the way, because, obviously I pay astute attention to those in the established media, and people have asked me before, like, why do you watch or listen to the seat? Man, if you're not paying attention to what the people that are opponents to individual rights, freedom, liberty are saying, like, what, then you're ignorant, you're ill-informed. I want to listen to what they say, and a constant message that I hear time and time and time and time again from these advocates of collectivists is, fuck, if you're a white straight male, fuck you. That's all. That's literally the constant messaging. And I hear them all the time. It's like, really? Well, that's a weird. There was someone on CBC the other day said they were talking about this whole thing, and I don't know if you've seen this whole thing where they're saying like white nationalism, like how Canada's now, we're just, I guess we're just the KKK is all. They've all traversed up into Canada, and look out there's nothing but a sea of fucking white hoods in Canada, according to the established media. Right? Look at them all, right? But the hilarious part is they'll even say is, and it's always alluded to, it's those damn old white males. Oh, you can't. They're the worst, right? But then they'll say LGBT. This is once again, this is just me being astute and paying attention. Is LGBT, feminist, or if you're of a different skin color other than white. This is a new group now. What the hell? What? How, like, to me, that's like, to me, the easiest fight against people that play these kind of games. Like, how about we just treat each other like as individuals? Like, to me, that's an impenetrable sword against authoritarian collectivists that want to pit everyone into groups. But the strange part is I still go out there every day. Not only do I do my videos, but even when I'm out working and talking to people, and I talk a lot, I still hear a lot of people that play these goddamn games. So Canadians are still very much conducive and fallen for these divisive collectivist narratives. The problem is, like I say, is even when you're coming at it from, and the media is going to use this, and like I say, I'm just going to say it one more time, and then I'm not going to repeat it again, but if you use the right wing thing, you're giving all the fence sitters an excuse to, like, a lot of them might even think, oh, the liberals really suck. But as far as who could be more authoritarian if they get the most power, I think they're thinking, well, let's fall on the side of, feminist Trudeau, because what's he going to do? He looks so harmless and helpless, right? Though they have that kind of messaging and branding that, like I say, people that are fence sitters might very much fall in line with them because, like I say, these authoritarian leftists, they have the best messaging ever. These are the kind of people, and I've said this in the past, you've probably heard me too, they want to get as close to you and so that they can shank you when you're not looking, because like the right-wingers, they're not. I mean, just look at the people that identify as the right. They're not trying to play emotional manipulative games. They're saying, no, you come at me, right? Like, so confrontational people from the right predominantly are. So it's the messaging that's not appealing to a large subset of people that are these fence sitters, that I think that the whole right-wing thing, because they get this preconceived notion in their head that's, oh, I'm scared. Listen, left-wingers are scary. Left-wing authoritarians are scary, but they've always got that thing jammed in their head, even though Hitler wasn't even a right-winger by any stretch of the imagination. But they've got it jammed in their head that, ooh, the most dangerous thing ever, if someone's going to come to power when identity politics is dominating the public discourse, is, oh, the right-wingers are the scariest. But like I say, if you actually understand what a right-winger truly is, like, a right-winger is not supposed to be a collectivist. If you like a proper right-winger in the proper sense is supposed to be, the only thing that would be that's a little bit detrimental to maybe being a right-winger as far as conservative would be maybe not well adopted as far as changes, right? But they're collectivists. Especially authoritarian collectivists, no, because most right-wingers, and they even say this, the left all the time, is, oh, those religious fundamentalists are Christians, right? Those are people they would call right. Where the fuck is the authoritarian Christians, right? Where are these people? I don't see. They must be hiding under their rocks or their Bible somewhere, because I don't see any authoritarian Bible thumpers out there, right, saying that, oh, Sodom and Gomorrah is here and we just gotta get God to smite thee, right? That's not happening. The true threat is happening from those people on the authoritarian left. But like I say, they have that branding, they have that messaging where they're like, yeah, sure, we can be scary. Oh, but the right-wingers are scary, which is why I say if you take that right-left out of the equation entirely, especially for the PPC, take that out of there, you've destroyed the collectivist narrative so bad that they got nothing to throw you, or you become basically like the proverbial Teflon party. That's why I think it's important to take that left-right out of the equation entirely and just stick to the principles.
No, and I agree wholeheartedly, Bennett. And I mean, the left, Saul Alinsky's rule for radicals, that's the handbook, that's what they use, and it's divide and conquer. So they divide all of us into all of these identifiable groups, and then they pander to each one of those groups to get their votes. So we're all fighting each other, all by this identity politics and by different groups.
I don't mean to interrupt you there, Mark, but I just want to say, but it's not you or I, but you're absolutely correct. But that's the thing. The left are playing the identity politics game, and they are the ones that started it. Make no mistake about it. 100%, they started it. Trump came to power because of the left starting the identity politics. But I see the right-wingers falling in line, and like, you're becoming useful idiots. Not you, obviously, right? But some of the people that are the ones that should be wise enough to know this stuff are playing that game, and they're fucking biting on that hook that's been dropped down by these leftists. Like, don't bite the hook. They got you. As soon as you do, they got you. And then you've destroyed every bit of credibility yet. Don't bite on that hook. That's all. Sorry.
Yeah, no, but you're right, and the matter is they need their victims, right? They create the victims so they can be there to help the victims. It's like you're a bully in the park, and so you hammer this kid, but then you go up after him and say sorry and help him up, and then you bring him into your little don't worry, right? In prison, it's the same game that's played on a political level. One of the you know, keep them, just give them enough so they'll keep coming back and voting us for 200 years, something to that effect, he said. And it's basically creating and promoting gonna resolve their issues, but they never resolve their issues, right? Like they never fix the issues that they say they're going to, but they're the ones that stand and scream the loudest that this is what we're going to do. So it's part of the game. This whole cult of diversity that especially, you know, since Trudeau's been in, but now it's conservatives calling it strength through diversity, or flip the word. It's so ridiculous. It should be unity in spite of diverse, right? And
Yeah.
nobody's saying, you know, it is very diverse. That diversity, we can still be strong, right? Like we can, in spite of. So it's not creating our strength. It's the fact that we can unite under a common goal and of all of our differences, creating our strength. It's, and so of it necessarily, or doesn't necessarily lead to a healthier country. A country through all the muck and still want to go, and what we all want in a nation, in a country, that's is coming together in spite of the differences, not because of them.
Yeah, you said a mouthful there, Mark. I couldn't agree more, man. That's really what it comes down to, especially, and you know, that's something each and every one of us, I'll even try to remind myself to make this more important aspect when I'm doing my videos, is when they're talking about diversity. I'm like you. I'm all for, like, you know, you can, but there, diversity, like when someone's bringing that up, I would say, what do you mean by diversity? Because obviously we're all individuals. We're all going to be diverse in some areas, some regard.
Right.
But for
Exactly.
to have any semblance of a country or a nation, right? That diversity there has to be some aspect of that diversity that stops where you at least have some form of unity, like you were saying. Diversity is fine as far as like how you want to do your thing. I'm all for diversity. Like, you do your thing in your life, I'll do my thing in my life. And as long as I'm not causing any harm or effect to you, because that's the thing when you're talking about the political realm, is diversity in your social realm. I'm all for diversity in your social realm, because in the social realm, you have no power over me. Do as diverse shit as you want, right? Do your whatever the hell crazy stuff you want to do. You want to put a boot on your head and walk around and say that you're God, or I don't care, whatever.
But this is what drives me so
crazy. No, right? There's a guy that actually does that down the States, right? But I mean,
this is what drives me so crazy, Bennett, is when I get called a Nazi, when I get called something, because I want everyone to have their individual identity and their whatever it is they do. I want them to have that freedom, right? I'm promoting the idea of unity in spite of diversity, not saying we don't need diversity or don't have diversity or want to destroy diversity. I'm not saying that, but it drives me crazy when these guys, these leftists, call me a Nazi or call me for exactly what I'm saying, the diversity or cult of diversity, when it's actually the exact opposite of what a Nazi wanted, right? A Nazi wanted everyone to be the same under, I mean, they even down to skin and hair color, for God's sake. Nobody that I know or have ever met personally, and I know there are a few out there, but nobody that I've ever come across has that in any scope of reason or thought, whatever. It's a ridiculous thought, but it's still a leftist collectivist thought. And we were all taught that the Nazis were right wing. Well, they're not. We all know they're not. I mean, there's nothing about right wing versus what is less control by the government and more individual, right? Then I'm Nazi who's really, if you understand and you're willing to learn, understands that the Nazis are on the left as well, right? They're just a different wing of the same leftist bird.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So it drives me crazy when they call us Nazis. It's so stupid, but that's the only thing that they cut us with. I see. You know,
it is. It really is. And it's disturbing when they go on about that. And it's really important when they go on about that whole right winger thing as far as the Nazis and stuff. It's the importance of the fact that they'll also try to say that the Christians and modern Christianity represents the right. Well, then you can't. How do you square that round peg when you're saying that the Nazis, which are predominantly atheists and represent the state as predominantly, you know, their orthodoxy, and the fact that, like I say, they were very much collectivist in nature and all about sacrificing the individual for the collective, when modern Christianity, especially, you know, everyone that's, well, you or I, that's, you know, in post-Reformation timeframes, which is what we're talking about today, is understood the importance of Jesus Christ and he voluntarily chose to, you know, you can make sacrifices. I make sacrifices. You make sacrifices every day. I do every day, do what I do, but no one forces me to do it. No one has imposed their will on me to do these videos and upload them every day for free. Well, not now. I'm starting to monetize my stuff now, but to do that for so long, I do it under my own fruition. That's the beautiful thing about the free will. And it gives me a sense of self-esteem and a sense of self-worth, which is lacking in those of the people on the left, which is why they always look for some external areas and where they can find something to give their life meaning. Whereas if you understand the importance of respecting each other as individuals, like I say, I've had conversations with not just people like you and others. It's like, oh man, I've learned something from, I'm so grateful that I got to meet you and just learn something from you. And it's like, even though we might not agree, I guarantee if we sat down and hammered out, we probably disagree on a few different areas. But it's like, all I really care about at the end of the day is, will you respect me for me, right? Are we at least willing to engage in proper discourse on the political stage and say that you can do your thing, and in your social life, you do you, and you do your family life, or you want to be, you know, a single mom and do all that. The only thing that I require and I demand actually is that you respect me for who I am. And like the way politics are done today, under this collectivist manner, it is literally deny each and every one of us our individual sovereignty, where we feel, well, don't have that anymore. So what do we have left if we don't have individual sovereignty? Is to join up with a gang or a collective. And that means that, well, we either got to go with the liberals or the conservatives. And, well, obviously not the end difference, because, like I've said many times too, Canadians aren't stupid enough to go full socialist. That's one thing I will say about Canadians. They've never been that stupid that they're going to go full socialist, right? And I'm not too worried about the end dippers ever coming to power position, but I do recognize that the leftists or the collectivists or the authoritarian collectivists that now propagate the messaging from the Conservative Party or the Liberal Party, they're getting gradually creeping up to that point where they might very well take over and assume, which is why you don't need the NDP anymore, because now you do have authoritarian collectivists, but they're just flying under a different banner and using a different label to describe them. Whereas, like I say, the PPC and Maxime and everything he stands for and what you've said just in this video. And actually, I'll let you respond to this, Mark. But I'm bad as far as I've seen a couple those super chat things come up, and my son even told me, you got to stay way ahead of your I'm bad at that stuff, because, well, you know, I'm talking with you, so I'm trying to engage. You finish that up, and if you want, we can even kind of engage into the chat here a little bit.
No, not much more for me to really finish on that. You've said it all and then some. I think I have too. So, but no, it's I was going to start, but it would take me a while. So
go ahead, Mark. Go right in. Dig right in, man.
I was just going to say, you know, like this whole left-right thing. I mean, it's been ingrained in us, you know, in all the way through my life, that it's always had to be this left-right. But I always thought, you know, so I'm not even sure. Like, nobody taught me this sense of individual freedom, right? It's sort of innate, I think, in me, and I think in a lot of people. I think in most people, it's sort of this innate sense of freedom that we cherish and that we love. And I think the left has done a really good job of promoting their ideas that will end up giving people more freedom. But we know that that's not true. We know that leftist ideology is not about personal freedom. It's about collectivism. And ultimately, it won't give you more freedom and more liberty. But I think people have been tricked, and people have been, it's just like the whole idea when we're talking about this, what made me think about it is the Nazis always being categorized as on the right. And so that's been done by the left through the indoctrination of kids in school and history and all these things that were taught and we're taught and are still being taught. So there's this trick, and I'll just call it what it is. And it's a trick that the left has been very successful at, is convincing people that leftism and socialism is the best way to give a person a sense of freedom and liberty, which is the exact opposite. But they've done a great job of it. And how do they do that? They do it, of course, through media, through education, through movies, and through television, and all of these mediums that the leftists have control of. And this is one thing. I listened to a show with Jordan Peterson and Majid Nawaz today, and really great discussion. Have a watch. I think it's a new posting. Great discussion, and they talk about these same things as well, and how the left wants to have taken control, especially in our universities. Of course, Peterson mentions that quite a bit, and they really have taken over the narrative, and they've taken over. I mean, he was mentioning a student that he was talking to, and she's a new writer now for the New York Times, and she was, through her whole education process, was never told that even literature is supposed to be looked at through a leftist lens, right? It's supposed to be interpreted through a leftist lens. And this is how all art should be interpreted. What? That's how we're creating critical thinkers. That's how we're creating, young people who are going to take over and run our countries based on a leftist socialist ideation. And you don't even explore the ideas or how to look at things from a conservative, position. It's just, it's scary. And so we have a big battle against this, and it is a bad ideas and a bad war. And the advantage, because they have all of the ways of informing people through the news media, through movies, through TV. Even sports now is starting to come into this, and they're promoting the agenda of a global, community, and we're all global citizens. And I've seen it in sports interviews. And last year, of course, the CFL, every wearing diversity is strength, right? And so they bought into it. So we're getting hammered by all levels. I'm amazed that we still have the ability to have an effect, and we do, because if we get our message out and we have these conversations to a bigger scale and to the masses, they will understand and they'll gravitate toward what our ideas are, because our ideas ultimately promote freedom and liberty and everything else that we cherish in Canada. So there.
Well said, Mark. Perfect, man. Actually, I'll just say something real quick, and then, like I say, I'll just say real here. Thanks for any steps for the super chat. Here you go. This is for your new tie fund. Yeah, because I probably do need some new ties. The combos have been getting stale, I guess. But anyways, but what you were saying about the freedom, that's the thing that the left has represented, and people such as Jordan Peterson and others have alluded to this fact, is that can't be everything. And you probably know this. Everyone actually probably watching this video will identify with this in at least some area, in some regard, that when you're younger, just freedom is probably the only thing that matters most to you, especially when you're younger and you've been grown up under the constraints of whether it's your parents or everyone else that were your authorities. So freedom is very important once you get to that, post-adolescent stage where you become an adult. But the thing that's going to carry you further on in life, once you get through your teens and your 20s and maybe your early 30s, you're going to start to realize at some point in time, and every one of us goes through that kind of phase in our life. That's just a normal aspect of just being a human being, is happiness and freedom. Let me just say first and foremost, liberty isn't just about freedom. Liberty is also a combination of that freedom, but that freedom requires personal responsibility. And that personal responsibility brings meaning. So Liberty liberty can never even truly flourish or exist without not just happiness as your pursuit, but meaning, a real meaningful pursuit in your life. Without those combination, if you just pick one or the other, then you're going down a shallow road that's going to leave something that you're going to live to regret at some point in time or some stage in your life, whether it's later, and predominantly it is going to be later in your life. But you don't want to get that point where you've only, and trust me, in my 20s and even, well, maybe not so much in my 30s when I actually became really super, super responsible. But I mean, I had all the freedom, like the just being the lefty, right? Like just let's just make predominantly your whole life is about just doing everything, just have as much freedom as possible. But none of that actually gave me anything meaningful in my life, because then once that fun was over, it's like, well, what did I have after that? What was after the fun? When the fun has subsided or the buzz has come off, right? What's left in my life after that?
Right.
Well, to me, my family and my relationship, right? Exactly. And that's the beautiful thing. Why, to me, it's like, it's so weird when you play this left-right thing, because there's so many areas where freedom is important, lefty stuff, like, but there's also that conserving of values and principles and the things that matter most as far as family and promoting cohesion and unity in some way, even when you have disagreements with people that you actually, might really care a whole lot about. To me, that's the kind of stuff is working through those differences and finding some way where you can come together and overcome those hurdles. Those are the things that are so meaningful, and those are what it will carry us through. And on our later stage in our life, and that last stage of our life, I think it's that meaningful stuff is what's going to matter most to us, right, Mark? Still there, buddy?
Absolutely. It's a legacy. I'm here. Yeah. Can you hear me?
You cut it a little bit on me. I don't know if it does any good if I turn my camera off, but I will anyways. But yeah, you were cutting it a little bit there. Go ahead, Mark.
No, but I just think it's, I just think it's about, legacy. And I mean, we do promote the idea of individualism, of course, but within that individualism, of myself outside of myself, and it's helping my family. It's helping, our extended family. It's looking out bigger and hopefully having impact, on a greater level in society. And so it's not but the individualism is what's going to create that. It's not the state telling me what I should be doing or what I shouldn't be doing that's going to create that. No, because then everyone relies on the state, and we see the end game of that is destruction. So it has to boil down to the individual. Naturally, if they're benefiting in their life and they're prosperous in their life, it's going to reach outside of the family, of course, and outside the family into the community. And so if everybody's, doing that from a personal or individual position, then it's conducive to a better society, I think. So, and I mean, this is a discussion, philosophical discussion that could last for days, but no. So I agree with you, and I think the left has done a great job at demonizing that, and ultimately, a lot of people, especially the youngsters, they start out thinking that Hollywood and their message and the media and this leftist, ideas and ideals are the way to go because it seems the easiest. And it's, but I think a lot of kids, once they go through and they get into the real world and they see that, well, nobody's going to take me, I have to take care of me. Right. And so anyways, that's about all I had to say. And it's been over an hour, Bennett. So I got other stuff I got to do.
Yeah, no problem, Mark. Like I say, I always appreciate having a conversation with you because you're obviously a wise guy, and I really, like I say, out of all the PPC candidates that I know anything about, and some of them I don't, I'm going to try to reach out to them. And actually, I've got a few more interviews I got to do over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to try to learn about some of these other new candidates. But I really have a tremendous amount of respect for you, and I'll even just point out to people before we tie this up is, if I didn't know Mark from a hole in the ground, if I just went by the rhetoric espoused by some idiots in the media, I would think that Marxist, right? And I'm sure people would have even maybe been able to use that towards me as well. But this is the importance, like I say, how important is it? And this is just a real life example right here. Just go talk to people. Like that's what I do with Mark. And like I say, I put this out there. I'll talk to anybody, left, right, or whatever you want to, however you want to identify as, because really that's the only way I'm ever going to get to know what you are as a person or who you are as a person, what you stand for, is by talking to you as an individual. I don't want to go by what some asshole or idiot in the media said as far as what they suggested that, you know, if I went by that, and there are some Canadians, that's a sad reality, is there are a lot of Canadians now that won't even listen to someone like Mark or even Kelly. Like, come on, even Kelly. They even tried to like say, like what? Like, this is the part, but like people that are just good souls such as you or Kelly are being dragged through the mud in such a way that people might not even want to listen to what you got to say just by the fact that someone in the media. But this is why to me it's like so important to put out the message of let's just give everyone a chance to say what they got to say, show who they are as a person. Don't identify them by their political leanings or their collective group identity.
Or the color of their skin.
Right, exactly. Just deal with them as the person. And if you do that, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to dig down, delve, or deep enough into them. If you have a conversation with them, you'll realize that, no, they're actually probably pretty good peeps. And then a lot of the people, that's the thing with the left people today, just talk to some of these people that you think that are your enemies or your opponents, and you'll probably find out fairly quickly that you actually share a lot of things in common. You might have some disagreements, but I guarantee if you have actual discourse and enter into dialogue with them, you'll find out that, you know what, I can live with this guy or this lady, and I think we'll be okay. And I think the future of Canada will be placed in a pretty good place, in a pretty good position going forward, if we can get past this identity politics crap and just deal with each other as individuals the way it should be.
I agree. Here.
Right on, Mark, buddy. So listen, I'll let you go because I know you got lots of things to do. And like I say, congrats to your position in the PPC and keep doing your thing. And one thing I will say too is, and you know this already, is when them media hacks, if they're out there, just well, first of all, make sure you're prepared and know that if they're coming, like just have a little bit of something there so that you know, and don't back away, don't shy, don't back down. Or if you're not prepared, just don't even give them anything.
Listen,
right?
You know what, Bennett? Every time I see something like that, it's an opportunity. I see it, and I thank them actually, because like I had this one McLean's reporter contributes to McLean Star and he threatened on Twitter he was gonna me, and I said, please do. I've been trying to expose my ideas for a very long time. So I appreciate the fact that you're going to expose what I've said in the past, because everything I've said in the past that's there for all to see is what I still believe in now. So please do. And if there's something there that they find that was, outrageous to them, well, fantastic. I'll speak to that as well. But please expose me. I take it as an invitation, as an opportunity to, get my ideas out and then respond and say, okay, so this is how you twisted that and you're wrong, because here's the fact of the matter. So give me that opportunity. Give me that platform. I'll cherish it. With the slant, I'll take it. It's an opportunity. I sat in Ottawa, and I don't know if you saw it, but I stood in front of 6 media cameras, CTV, CBC, Global, TVO in Quebec, and then a couple others. I don't know who they were. And I here was my platform, exactly what I wanted to say, and they were all waiting for the thing that I could say. They could turn and twist and make wearing a yellow vest. And I didn't give them anything, because I can't give them anything, because I just told them what I believed in. And there was nothing. They reported not one word, not one sentence from anything that I said at that point. It wasn't aired. It wasn't nothing. The narrative.
Oh yeah.
And so that's frustrating, because everything I said, I felt, and I meant it, and it's truly what my values are. And so it's frustrating that it doesn't get out there, but we have to have things like we can. But so anytime that it's done, by all means, do it. Expose me. I'll respond. So.
Yeah, no, actually, I agree. Actually, because the article, I read the whole thing. Actually, well, I made a video about it, but yeah, they didn't really have. They had nothing that there was no gotcha moment. So yeah, like I say, I know you're a wise character, and so is Kelly, and you're all doing a pretty good job as far as I'm concerned. But like I say, just expect that, especially as we get closer, in particular, if you see that the polls, or not even necessarily polls, but if you see or feel even that there's a growth in support for the PPC, just expect that they're going to try to manipulate things so severely and use everything. Like I say, you didn't give them anything. I'll admit that. You did a great job, and you and Kelly both did. And like I say, keep up that great work, because that, like I say, that's what they're going to try to do. And I'm not worried about, like you say, what you stand for, because anyone that just goes to listen, my thing, I guess the only thing I'm worried about is those idiots that predominantly just read headlines, right? And those are the people that are truly the big problem, is the people that just read stupid headlines that would say PPC candidate, blah, right? Or whatever, right? And some negative connotation is, if they didn't delve into the article, I mean, if they delve down into the article, it's like, well, there's nothing here at all. Mark seems like a pretty good guy, but you know what? That's the thing. There's a lot of idiots that'll just read that article and be like, oh, well, I won't vote for the PPC but you know what? That's okay. Like you say, let the left continue doing what they're doing, because we don't have to. That's the beautiful thing about social media and what we're doing here today. We don't have to rely.
Well, but in a lot of cases, they're doing it to shut us down, and I'll absolutely that out. Like, you won't shut me. It's just putting me in a position where I'm going to cower. You're actually empowering me. Every time you do that, you empower me to go at it even harder, because that's exactly what's wrong with our country, right?
100%, buddy. Anyways, I know, like I say, we've been on here for a little while, and I know you got things to do, Mark. So I'll if you want, you just go ahead now. I'm going to stay on here for a little bit yet, because I probably want to get back and thank some people in the chat and stuff. I don't want to close this down, because, I definitely, especially if people are offering like to compensate me monetarily in any way, I want to show some respect for all that. But thanks, Mark, once again for coming on the show. And anytime, like I say, anytime you ever want to reach out to me to have any conversation for anything or anytime, I'm always there for you, buddy, because I know you're someone else that stands for the kind of things that I stand for. And if that's the case, then like I say, I'm willing to help anyone out there that's doing the right thing. As far as I'm concerned, you're doing the right thing, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, Bennett. Appreciate the time. And I'll be on probably lots. I enjoy conversations with you quite a bit.
Cool.
So
I'd love to do it in person someday. That'd be pretty cool. All right, Mark, have a good one, man.
Yeah, you too.
All right, I'm just going to check here. Yeah, like I say, I don't want to get off just yet, folks, because I want to thank everyone. Thanks, Julie, by the way. I didn't forget about you. My son told me actually the last time when I was doing my live streams, like, damn, you're slow in the chat. Well, I was trying to get to everyone. That's what it is, folks, is I was just trying to show respect to everyone in the chat. And I realized that, yes, you shouldn't stay way back behind the times. So sorry, I'm going to fast forward. Thanks, Julie, for your donation. I seen that. Now I'm down here to Tim Burns. Thank you, Tim Burns. You didn't even ask a question, Tim. You can ask a question. Actually, let me scroll down. If you got a question there, go right ahead. I'll answer anything you got to ask. But I just want to get down. My son said, go down to the bottom of the stream and start from there. Forget about going up the top and try to deal with everyone's been up there. That's what I was trying to do, right? Is go back, show everyone respect. I don't want to leave everyone out, but I can't do it all. So I'm going down to the bottom, and I'm going to try to, like I say, folks, I'm going to try to get better. Oh, I see something that's highlighted here. Let me just check real quick, because someone, when they use the highlight aspect here, Big Macs are for the rich, proud of the Canadian Libertarian. Oh, thanks. Big Macs are for the rich. Well, thank you. It looks like your name's Big Macs. So, thanks a lot anyways for the compliment. Appreciate it. PPC all the way. They can't do any worse. Neil Legacy, Ian Myers, McKenna, and the rest of those criminals haven't paid for a meal. No doubt. Thunder here. Oh, Julie Moore. LOL. Plant Boy. Oh, Plant Boy probably. Plant Boy is a pretty funny character. Yeah, he's got some good stuff, right? I like that guy actually. He's always actually a regular contributor, and he puts out some good stuff there. And thanks, Plant Boy, for all that. I really, like I say, all you people that have been around support me for a long time. I don't know if you've realized, but my channel's been kind of doing like a nosedive lately. And even some of my videos have been demonetized. I'm not even going to get too crazy into that, because whatever, it is what it is. It's weird though. And I have like someone that continues to spam. And I've been, I have Team YouTube on Twitter. My son told me that if you have a complaint about YouTube or something, some issue, just go to their Twitter page and they have it's called Team YouTube, and usually they're pretty quick. And they are, but they're not giving me much help. We're working on it. Well, it's been 2 weeks and I'm still seeing where I'll upload a video. Here, I'll just let you know. I'll upload a video and within just like 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, I'm getting spam warnings. But I can't even, when I go into the spam warnings, usually you're given what it is that they consider spam, and then you're allowed to either approve it or to trash it, put it in the bin, trash bin, right? I'm not even given that option. It's held in review, it says, but I don't get any say whether it's approved or not approved. But yeah, it stays there and it never gets resolved ever. So I don't know if that's affecting my views, my subscriber count. That's another thing. My subscriber count's been like, it's like it's dropped off. Like, what the heck? I was doing good there for a while. Hey, what's going on? Wait a minute. I'm still going live. Why is it show like, that's weird. I gotta have to reload here. That's weird. Am I okay still? No. Well, apparently not. That's weird. Anyways, folks, I don't know if you're still seeing this, but I'm seeing it's weird. It's weird once again, folks, and it's not me. I wasn't doing anything. Trust me, it's not like I don't understand technology, but now I don't know, is it weird that this live stream right now is showing an ad? That kind of looks like it was ended, or it ended. I don't know. I'm going to keep going. Actually, let me just, if anyone's in the chat, just let me know. Is it still showing that I'm live? Because I just had an ad show up for some reason. Am I still live? Oh, I see Julie say, Remy. Whoa, that's weird. It looks like we've gone back. All right. No, it's not me. I didn't do anything, folks. I really didn't. So I don't know. As far as I know, anyways. You live, bud? Yeah, I am. It looks like my stream has started all over. Shoot. Anyways, so I guess I might as well tie it up there now. Dang, I don't want to tie it up if I know that there are people in the chat. Shoot. Dang it. Yeah, something tells me I probably should just tie it up here real quick. Just in case, like, because I don't know what's going on. I was just doing my thing. Anyways, thanks for everyone that showed up for this live stream. I'm probably going to be doing another one tomorrow. Actually, I have, what's her name? Let me check real quick. Chrissy Garbutt. Yeah, Chrissy Garbutt actually wants to have a conversation with me. She sent me a message on my Canadian Libertarian Facebook page and wants to have a conversation with me. Now, I haven't heard back from her. Hopefully, we will be doing this still tomorrow. If not, even if Chrissy doesn't get back to me and this doesn't play out, I'm still going to do a live stream tomorrow because, once again, I want to make sure I do live streams where I'm not just engaged with someone that's part of an interview or a conversation, but I definitely want to pay attention to those of you who are in the live stream, in the live chat, I should say, because I have a lot of respect for all you people, and I read your comments. Like I know a lot of YouTubers don't. I read most of the comments as much as I can, anyways. Right, with the time that I'm on, there's only 24 hours in a day, but I do read a lot of your comments, and a lot of great people contribute a lot of amazing things to my YouTube channel, just in the comment section. A lot of times I'll even pin them because oh, this is so great. I'll just pin them so other people will read it. But I really appreciate all you folks. And I definitely, like I say, I'm definitely probably going to need some kind of financial or economic support in some way if I'm going to continue to do this on a regular and ongoing basis, because we all have to pay the bills. I have to keep the lights on, and I do need to make money. I'm trying to do my construction thing, but like I say, if I get too heavily into it, then I won't have time to do this. And this stuff's so important to me. I'm so entrenched in it now. It's like I don't want to give it up, right? It's like I feel like this is kind of, it's almost like a calling to me. I just feel it's so important at this particular junction in my life to do the right thing and put out these kind of videos that helps to expand on the philosophical or principle understanding of what it is to even be a free human being. I feel that I'm at least in a pretty good position to do so, and it's something that I want to continue to do going forward. And I think I do a decent job. I'm going to always try to improve. That's another thing. I promise you, I'll always try to improve. But once again, the leftists, the collectivists, they've got all kinds of support and backers, and the power of the gun, right? The power of forced wealth and income redistribution to sustain their business model, although it's not much of a business. It's right, like using force as a means to an end. I'm just asking you or anyone that watches my videos to just please help me out voluntarily in some way. And that way we can push back against them, because I'll be the voice. Like I say, I'll be the one in the front lines. I'll lead the charge, but I really do need your help and your support, and not just, liking, sharing, and commenting. Those are important too, but even financially, I need a little bit of support if I'm going to do what I'm going to do. So thanks to those of you who have already helped me in that aspect, in that regard, and we'll see you tomorrow in the next live stream. Have a good one. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.